The trial going on right now for the armorer on the set of the movie Rust, Hannah Gutierrez Reed, well underway. Lots of compelling testimony coming out of that trial from the Alec Baldwin movie. Of course, the fatal shooting of Helena Hutchins is what is in question. And it seems to be a lot of finger pointing thus far of this person did this person didn't do that. We should have known this. We did this good. We did this bad. Not a lot of accountability, though, on anyone's part. Eric Faddis, defense attorney, joining me. Eric, what's been your reactions to what we've seen thus far in this case?
Yeah, like you said, on these movie sets, there are a multiplicity of players who are involved in different aspects of the production, including the firearms piece of this. So the defense team is really trying to kind of identify who else they can blame for this, and in part challenging the causation element that the prosecution has to prove. They've got to prove that Hannah Gutierrez Reed's actions caused this death, and when you have this sort of interceding cause of Alec Baldwin with his hand on the firearm and ultimately leading to the death. And then you have these other folks who may have sourced the ammunition and things like that. I think the defense team is doing what they should do by showing the jury, hey, it's not my person.
With so many people with their hands involved on this, I mean, figuratively and literally, it seems, it's very hard to know, what was done right, what was done wrong here, because there's not necessarily, a specific protocol. It seems for every movie on how things are handled. Obviously, you want things done properly, so this sort of thing doesn't happen. But it's a little. This one does it this way. This one does it that way. Should Alec have been the one that checked the bullet and the gun? Some say yes, some say no. Some say it should have been uh, Hannah Gutierrez Reed who did it. Some say, I mean, there's it's like there's no clear answer to any of this. How eventually do you whittle that down then to say, look, it was Hannah Gutierrez Reed's fault when, look, these other people brought the bullets in. This other guy was here on set. I mean, there's too much. It seems this is not a very a slam dunk case against Hannah Gutierrez Reed by any stretch of the imagination.
No, Tony, and like you said, when all of those questions still abound and we don't have great answers for those, sometimes that translates into reasonable doubt for a
Yeah.
jury. Like you said, we have this sort of chaotic production. There wasn't a ton of standards in place, it seems. There were multiple people involved in what happened, and the prosecution's got to prove that Hannah Gutierrez Reed and her actions caused the death of Helena Hutchins. And when you have all these other actors and potential intervening causes, that's going to get difficult for the prosecution.
Do you obviously there's going to be several trials here at the end of the day with this. Alec Baldwin going to have one as well. Is anyone going to be found guilty here? I mean, is Hannah Gutierrez Reed the one that should be looked at closely? Should anyone actually at the end of the day of this obviously we want accountability here so this sort of thing doesn't happen. But I mean, is this something where somebody should be locked up, or just the guilt of this horrible, horrible mistake? That's punishment enough, unless we find some sort of nefarious action here that someone was trying to kill Helena Hutchins, which it looks likely not.
Yeah, in these cases when there's this tragedy that happens, there's kind of a societal pressure, right, to hold somebody accountable, like you said, and recently society's been going sort of the criminal route for those tragedies, and that's not always the best route. Like you said, there are provability challenges to convicting Hannah Gutierrez Reed, and but if we had this in the civil realm, it was just a civil case. There's a lower standard. Nobody's freedom is at stake. It's just a damages to compensate the loss. And a lot of people have argued that perhaps this should have only been handled in the civil realm.
Hmm.
And as far as the trial's going so far, it seems like a conviction is going to be pretty darn hard to attain.
I was just going to ask you that. Are you surprised that this is being tried criminally and that this is not more kind of a civil type like issue? I mean, like we see in like the Petitos and things like that. That was never a criminal case. That well, it was because he killed himself. So the aftermath was all civil. I'm kind of surprised that this even went to the what tipped this into the criminal territory.
The only thing that comes to mind for me that could justify a criminal prosecution in this case for Hannah Gutierrez Reed is that there's an allegation that she was using substances the night before
Mhm.
and that she may have been using substances the day of. Now that fact itself makes things a little more egregious, and has at least been an argument made by folks in support of sending this down the criminal route. My personal opinion is that this is much more suitable for the civil realm based on the evidence, based on the multiple people involved, the causation issues, and everything else. But here we are in criminal court.
Yeah. Hey, it's Tony Bruschi. If you like the podcast, be sure to like, subscribe, and press that bell so you don't miss any of our updates on the cases we're following for you right here at the Hidden Killers podcast from True Crime Today. And thanks